You're listening to Short History Shorts audio, where history speaks louder than images. The year was 64 AD, and Rome stood as the beating heart of an empire stretching from the windswept moors of Britannia to the sun-baked sands of Egypt. It was a city of marble and brick, a place of triumphal arches and crowded tenements, of senators in purple-bordered togas and slaves running errands through labyrinthine streets. Beneath its grandeur, however, lay a combustible truth. Much of the city was built of wood, its streets narrow and twisting, its insulae, multi-story apartment blocks, stacked precariously with timber beams, cloth awnings, and the constant risk of open flames from cooking braziers and oil lamps. In such a place, fire was an ever-present fear, but no one could have anticipated the scale of the catastrophe that was about to unfold. According to the historian Tacitus, it began in the area of the Circus Maximus on the night of July 18th. A small blaze, perhaps from a shop or storage area, caught and spread quickly, fanned by summer winds. The circus, surrounded by densely packed wooden structures, became a furnace, and soon flames leapt from one district to another. Panic gripped the city. Families fled with whatever they could carry, often abandoning belongings in the chaos. The fire moved unpredictably, driven by gusts, and in some cases it seemed to change direction entirely, leading to rumors that individuals had been seen deliberately spreading the flames. For 6 days, the inferno raged, consuming entire neighborhoods, until it was finally brought under control, only to reignite and burn for another 3 days. By the end, 10 of Rome's 14 regions were damaged, with 3 reduced entirely to ash. Statues, temples, markets, and countless homes were gone. The devastation was unprecedented in living memory. Amid the smoking ruins, questions began to circulate. Where was the emperor during the fire? Nero, as the story would later be told by hostile sources like Suetonius and Cassius Dio, was said to have been in his palace, singing of the destruction of Troy while watching Rome burn. Tacitus, more cautious, noted that Nero was actually in Antium at the time and returned to Rome only after the fire had begun to provide relief, opening his own gardens to shelter the homeless and organizing food supplies. Yet the rumors persisted, fueled by Nero's decision to use the cleared land to build his lavish new palace, the Domus Aurea, the Golden House, with its grand halls, artificial lake and gilded decorations. To many it seemed too convenient, a disaster that had cleared the way for his personal extravagance. The political fallout was immediate and dangerous. Nero, facing growing public suspicion, needed a scapegoat. He turned to a small, unpopular religious sect, followers of a crucified Jewish preacher named Jesus of Nazareth. Christianity was still obscure in Rome, misunderstood by most and rumoured to practice strange rites. Nero accused the Christians of setting the fire and launched one of the first state-sponsored persecutions against them. According to Tacitus, many were arrested, tortured and executed in brutal ways. Some burned alive to serve as night torches in the imperial gardens, others torn apart by dogs or crucified. The spectacle shocked even some of Nero's allies, but it shifted blame away from the emperor, at least temporarily. The fire also transformed Rome itself. In the rebuilding that followed, Nero introduced stricter building codes, wider streets, limits on the height of insulae, and the use of fireproof materials like stone instead of wood for certain structures. These measures aimed to prevent such a disaster from recurring, though the changes also gave the city a more ordered, monumental appearance. In historical memory, however, the fire of 64 AD would remain entwined with Nero's name, a symbol of imperial excess and the dangers of absolute power. Later writers, especially Christian chroniclers, would seize upon the image of Nero fiddling while Rome burned as an enduring metaphor for neglectful or self-indulgent rulers, even though the fiddle did not exist in Nero's time and the details of his actions remain debated. Modern historians continue to debate the fire's origin, whether it was accidental, deliberate, or perhaps even multiple blazes merging, but the political consequences were clear. It deepened divisions between emperor and senate, widened the gulf between ruler and people, and marked a turning point in Nero's reign. Within 4 years, the unrest, suspicion and resentment that followed the fire would contribute to the revolts that brought his downfall. Yet in the city itself, life eventually resumed amid the ruins. Markets reopened, temples were rebuilt, and the forum once again filled with the noise of daily business. The scars of the fire, however, both physical and in memory, endured for generations. Even as marble replaced timber and avenues straightened, the ghost of that great blaze lingered, a reminder that in Rome, the grandeur of empire was always balanced on the edge of fragility, and that in the heat of summer, one spark could change the course of history.